talk about 4 moves that are going to fire up your relationship. So, how this concept came up for me is that my business coach has 4 moves that turn business around. And I was looking at those moves and I was like, man, that's the same thing with relationship. And so they come from strong principles, which means that if a principle works for one thing, then it works for another thing. And so um, we'll test that out, and you guys will be able to see how all of that works. All right. So the first one is make your love known frequently. So the issue here is that nobody knows what you feel or what you're thinking. You might think that they know what you're feeling or thinking just because you're so familiar with it, maybe. But the truth is, nobody knows. So you have to constantly be willing to display that. And if you could focus on serving your partner, then this helps you to make your love known. Um, Also, the other challenge is a lot of times we want to wait till something else happens before we're actually doing the loving thing. So if we need less to lead with love, then it's going to help us to make our love known. So what does that look like? What are the practical steps? I think it's just simple statements and pairing your actions with because I love you. And so simple statements of I love you or I'm thinking about you. These things people might already do, but sometimes it turns into something else because it's not paired with the actions that you're doing, and you're feeling it on the inside and you're doing the action, but you're not saying I love you with it. And so if you could add the I love you with it scenario, then you give yourself a different chance. Okay. And so that's just a small example. You can grow that as you need to grow it or however you need to grow it. All right. The second one is make loving you easy and possible. So a lot of times we're not emotionally available to receive the love that's available to us. So how do we get to a place in our life where we could actually be emotionally available? One of the things that you could do is create something called emotional cooperation. And the way I think that you would do that in a relationship is that you use things like honor and admiration and seeing your partner in and out of hardship. So not just when things get difficult, but constantly. And the more that you do that, you're on the same page with your partner, and your partner feels like you're on the same page with them. If you're on the same page with them, then it makes loving you easier and more possible, right? The other thing that you can do is share with each other how your relationship is benefiting you. And so if you can say, okay, this is what my relationship is bringing to me, to yourself, that's helpful because then you're able to put in your mind, okay, this is what's going on in my relationship. This is what keeps me in a place where I can actually be loved and where I can allow love even when things get difficult, and then constantly when things are just as they are. But then the flip side of that is if both of you are sharing together how your relationship is benefiting you, then it's going to help us to move love through our relationship. All right. So what you're thinking and feeling has to translate. It's not going to be an okay thing, but for us just to be able to think and feel something, and then the other person thinks and feels another thing and is perceiving something differently than what you're experiencing. So make loving you easy and possible. We do that by through our emotional cooperation, and then us being able to see the benefits of what our relationships are actually bringing to us. So what are some examples? One of the things that will help for you is to not hold grudges, and more so of the do part is to stop arguing when it's time to stop, right? Like sometimes you want to hold on to things, or you are closed off because of whatever hurt feelings or situations are going on, but you have to stay ready so that you don't have to get ready when it comes time to being loved. So make loving you easy and possible, and you're going to help your relation out immensely. All right, the third one, and we might have to have different kinds of conversation um, about this concept, but the third one is make big investments into your relationship. And so a lot of times we don't put our relationship investments very high. Like we'll do the whatever the day to day is, but we won't do things that mean I'm making an unreasonable or inconvenient give up for my relationship. So there's the daily give ups that we do that we kind of know, like, yeah, I'm sacrificing something, but what's the big thing? Well, big things might be something like couples retreats, where you're actually investing into your relationship and doing things that mean um, we're spending time together. We're learning more about our relationship, learning more about ourselves, learning more about how to come together, learning more about growing things in our relationship. All those things happen in a couples retreat, and that's a big investment that you can make. Sometimes it's couples coaching. I don't see a reason for us to have to wait to the end of our relationship for us to actually make an investment into our relationship. I feel like we can make an investment into our relationship before it's almost over or before it gets difficult. And so, if you could make a big investment into your relationship, like retreats or coaching, that'd be a huge deal. Um, and you can kind of ask yourself, like, there's some things that you invest really high in that don't mean as much to you than your relationship. I'll give you an example, and this might be a harsh example, but I think it drives the point home really well. So, if your house was to burn down, you would definitely prefer to have your house burn down than the person who you're loving. But we'll invest more in our relationship with our house than we will invest in our partnership, right? It's kind of interesting how those kinds of things work, but it happens frequently where we end up making investments and putting our resources financially and time wise into things that we don't care as much about as we do our relationship. And so, are you investing more in the place you live than the relationship you're living in? And the more that we can kind of think about how do I make more bigger investments into my relationship, then you are on your way to setting your relationship up for some amazing things. Okay. The last thing that I will tell you that's going to help your relationship really light up is if you can make some continuity practices. So, what does that mean? Continuity practices are practices that are constants that happen in the relationship that sync you and your partner together. Okay. And you could really be as creative as you need to with any of these steps. But one of the things might be a continuity situation is where you guys are having date nights frequently, and maybe you pull those date nights out of a hat, or one person gets to decide, and then the next person the next time. And so, but if we can keep that as an ongoing scenario, that might be something like a continuity practice. Another one is vision statements, and so being able to say every day to each other. What it is that you guys are thinking about for your relationship and how things should go in your relationship, where you want your relationship to go. It's less about what's in the vision statement, and for continuity purposes, it's more about how you're sticking together constantly and something that you have um, going on daily. Another one that I thought about that might be useful, and again, this is all creativity, you can come up with your own continuity practices, would be trading notes. And so, we have text messages nowadays, but it'd be kind of cool to just walk by and trade a note, whenever your partner gets off of work, or in the morning time before they leave to work, or you leave it in the car, or leave it on the toilet paper roll or something like that, that would be helpful to keep on exchanging that and making that game kind of fun. All right, so just to rehash, what do we have here? If you put these in your relationship, if you're able to lay these out, these four moves are going to really light your relationship up. I guarantee it. Okay. So make your love known frequently, make loving you easy and possible, make big investments into your relationship, and make continuity practices in your relationship. All right, you guys, I hope that this really helps you. I do know that before we actually get to doing and having, a lot of times we got to work on our being. So if those four things are difficult for you, tap into me and I can help you with your being, or follow more content, and you'll be able to see the things that we have to be able to focus on to make the changes that we need to. We'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.